Hi, everyone. Welcome to another great podcast. I'm Melanie Johnson from Elite Online Publishing, and we are talking SEO today. Oh my gosh, SEO is search engine optimization, in case you don't know what that is. So if you're trying to be found on Google, Google is like the big behemoth that seems like they run everything. So if you want to know the inside secrets of how to do this, I know I do. We're here with Kyle today, Kyle Roof, and he is a specialist in search engine optimization. So I got my notepad out. I am ready to take notes and find out how we can do better as a company and how you can do better, more importantly, and be found on Google. Thanks, Kyle, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
So tell us, how did you get started on the SEO rabbit hole?
It's a long story with a lot of twists and turns, but the short version is I used to be an attorney. I was a trial lawyer.
Wow.
And I did divorce, custody, and support for 4 years. I decided I'd rather chew on shards of broken glass than do one more divorce. And I took a year off and I looked for the lowest level of responsibility, and I found a job teaching English in Korea. And the plan was just 1 year off, and that 1 year turned into 5. And while I was there, I started a business. That business needed a very complex website. And from there, the team that I built to get that website going, I started kind of general contracting websites. And then from there, I got into the marketing aspect of things, and that really took off. And it's been a wild ride since, and it's been a really good ride since. But that's the condensed
version of it.
The Reader's Digest version of a few years there.
Well, tell us, what do you think most people are missing? Like, you put your website on Google, you're up there, you got your website up, and I just went through and I said, hey, we don't have our social media links on there. Let's get our social media links. Like, what are the top 5, top 10 playlists that you should have on your Google listing?
Well, for your site in general, one of the things when I consult with people is they say okay, I want to show up for this particular keyword. When people search for something, I want my site to show up, and I'll say, okay, what page on your site are you optimizing for that? And you'll often hear crickets, and they're like, well, we're optimizing the site. And that's not how it works. If you have a particular term that you want to win, you have to have a page dedicated for that. And that's something that people miss usually right out of the gate. So if there's a term that's very important for you, your business, your products, your services, and you want to show up, you must have a page that you've dedicated to that term. And then that's the page that you're going to put your efforts into. Your on-page optimization, that's the words that go on the page. And your off-page optimization, that's the signals coming in, say, from your social media or from people linking to the page. But one of the things that people just miss right out of the gate is just not having that page that they need in order just to rank in the first place.
So that page, for instance, for us might be self-publishing. But then on that page, we'd have to put all the other words that people are searching for on that particular page, right? So the page would be named self-publishing.
That's right.
Which of other words?
What you find is that might be a primary keyword for you or a target keyword. What happens is if you properly optimize for that term, you're going to win its secondary terms. And those are terms that Google has kind of lumped together with that particular primary term. And so that's why on-page optimization is actually one of the most important things, in that if you don't have that page, if you don't have those words on the page, you can't rank. The only page that can't rank is the page that doesn't exist. So if you don't have that page there for you for that self-publishing term, you have no chance of winning that or all of those other secondary terms that might be very valuable for you.
Wow, that's really eye-opening, I think, right there. How much does posting on your Google listing, keeping that, having your products and services up there and posting new articles, blogs, or videos on there, how important is that?
Well, if you're Google listing, you mean your it used to be called the Google My Business, the place where you kind of list your business. Mm-hmm. That is valuable in that Google needs to understand who you are. Mm-hmm. Google is entity focused. Entity is a thing, a person, a place, an organization, a business, an event, that type of thing. And so in order for Google to understand that you exist, that's why you need that sort of thing, kind of as a step 1. The step 2 part of that is that Google needs to trust that you're real. When Google's looking at, should they put sites into the index? Should we show these sites? One of the things they look at is, can we trust this site? And really what they mean by that is, do we know who is responsible for the site and who is responsible for the content? And so your Google listing, as you're saying, helps Google understand that you are a real thing and that you are actually trustworthy, that there is actually somebody behind this company or somebody behind this content that's taking responsibility for it. And so maintaining an active listing like that is very valuable in that sense, so that Google can know, one, you're real, and two, you're actually responsible for the website.
I get it. And do you think being strong on your SEO for Google affects your YouTube page because YouTube is owned by Google? Do you think there's any correlation between those two?
Well, one of the things you can do actually within, say, your listing is actually put in your YouTube channel. And so you're making the connection between, like, okay, this is our listing, this is our website, this is our channel. And the more things you can do to make those connections between those things to show Google this is connected, this is us, this is who we are, the more you can do of that, absolutely the better, because you're establishing, again, it kind of goes to that we are real, and there are real people behind this. And so all those types of connections you can make, the better, the more you can make, the better.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then you have some software called Pop AI. I mean, AI, I'm obsessed with AI on all different levels. So explain to us what your software does and how that helps you.
Yeah, Page Optimizer Pro. The real basic idea is you have a page that you want to rank. And what we do is we look at that page and we look at your competitors, the ones that are winning that term, and we tell you the words you want to put on the page and where to put them, how many times to put them, so that Google will like your page more and basically give you the best opportunity or the best chance to rank for that term.
Okay, so would that be for like your main website, or it might be like a landing page that you're selling, doing a promotion on?
Like, kind of as we talked about at the beginning, where if you have a term that's really important to you, like if somebody is searching, and that's the term that you need to show up for, that's a page you want to invest time into. That's the kind of page that you want to do on-page optimization for, and that's the kind of thing that you would use an on-page tool such as Page Optimizer Pro for. You might have a lot of other pages on your site that you don't necessarily need to show up in search results, your disclaimer page, your privacy policy, and even some things that might just be for your users that explain things like how your products or services. Those might not be pages that you really need to show up. So you wouldn't use a tool like that on these pages, but those pages that are like the marketing focus, we want these to show up when people search. That's the type of page that you want to use a tool like Pop on.
So it finds all the terms that you would need to put in there based on, it takes a look at your website, you put terms that you think you need, and then it gives you a bunch of other a bunch of other names that you should put in there.
Right. A big concept in SEO is that the secret is hiding in plain sight. Google shows you the sites that it likes. A lot of people get confused, like, what should I do here? How can I do this? What you need to do is do the search for your term and look at those pages that Google is rewarding. And then that's the type of page that you need to create. Now, you can do this by hand. You can go through and look at these pages and you can count by hand how many times they are using those terms in specific places on the page. But that's a rather tedious process. And I would recommend speeding that up a little bit with a tool that can help you evaluate those pages, see what terms they are using, and then put those terms the right amount of times in the right places on the page.
Now, let's say I went to ChatGPT and asked it the same questions, would I get the same answer as what Pop gives me?
No, not at all. ChatGPT is a generative language model. And what it's doing is it's giving you a best guess as to the words that should appear based on what you asked it. It's not looking at anything. It's not doing a Google search for you. It's not looking at any of your competitors. It's really just guessing at the words that should come. And so while ChatGPT, what I would use that for is content creation or idea creation. That's where it's a really good tool. But in terms of what can rank now in Google, ChatGPT really can't do anything for you at all. And what's great about it, though, is if you ask it for it, it will lie to you and it'll tell you that it's doing that. But it's not anywhere near any kind of on-page or off-page or any kind of SEO type tool.
That's interesting. Yeah. They say that ChatGPT lies to you. So I'm wondering,
Constantly.
Yeah, so you have to double check. So what made you start the software company? Why did you think you wanted to go that route? And it hasn't been long, right? I mean, how long?
A few years. It was actually an offshoot of our agency. So I have an SEO agency and we were doing this in-house. Initially we were doing the counts by hand and I realized we can't do this. And so we kind of turned into a Google sheet. And from there we turned into a Python script. And I was showing it to some friends, some SEO friends. I was like, would you like this? Is this useful? And they're like, I would definitely like that. And so we were able to kind of spin it off of the agency and turn it into its own company and its own thing. And that's kind of how it got going. But it was really what we were using internally. And actually it all started too because I was using another on-page tool and they changed the tool. they actually took away the feature that I was using. And I was like, I was actually doing really well with that feature. And they took it away. And I was like, well, I don't want to be beholden to some other tool that could take things away that I'm going to use. So I made my own tool. And then from there, we were able to kind of drive it to what it is today.
It's interesting. And, I think a lot of companies too, we're guilty of this, like we'll work on our SEO and then a year or two will go by that we haven't done anything to it. We've just like, okay, well, it was doing good. So we're going to forget about that now. It's set and go and play. How often should you be analyzing and going in and doing things to like review your SEO for your website?
That's a great question. And it's something that people don't realize is that the goalposts shift. So let's say you ran any tool, and by the way, if people don't use my tool, it doesn't hurt my feelings. Yeah. The best tool to use is the one that your team will use. And so whatever you're comfortable with. So if you're using any kind of particular on-page tool, what you're going to do is you're going to get a snapshot of how things are right now. And that's what you need to optimize for. But things change. Your competitors might do other things, and they're going to shift into the SERPs. Google does updates. And when that happens, the goalposts do move. Well, the counts that you needed, the terms that you needed, they do change, evolve, and shift a bit. And you do want to make sure that you're on top of that. It's something that a lot of people miss. They often think like, I've written this page, we're good to go.
Exactly.
What could change? But a lot can change. And so at a minimum, you want to check these things quarterly for where they are. A tricky part of that is you need benchmarks. You need to know what the counts were. Mm-hmm. And then the idea is that when you check, then you can see how things have changed. I can shamelessly plug my tool because we have a feature for this called Watchdog, where after you've done your optimization, you actually click it and we will monitor the SERPs for you. So if there's been an update in Google or new competitors come in, we'll actually send you an email and give you an alert like, hey, these are the terms you need to change now, or these are the things you need to add in to make sure that you can maintain the ranking that you have.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that you'd have to do it quarterly. So that's really...
I think that's on the outside. If it's something that's really important to you, I do it monthly.
Wow. Okay. And then I guess either you have your computer guy do it or you try and do it in-house to make those changes. If you have someone that's doing that for you on a regular basis to update that.
An easier way to usually get around that is through UGC, user-generated content. And that comes most often in the form of comments. Now, comments can get spammed, and so you'll want to make sure you've got guards in place that you have to approve comments. But if people are coming and commenting, they're going to add to the content of that page. And if they're asking things about that page, you're going to get content that can be term rich. So that when you respond to that comment, you can then put in terms, you can keep your counts where they need to be. And I find that's usually a really good way to keep your pages fresh and to get content on the page at a regular clip, kind of drip it in as you go so that you can kind of keep on top of those things. One other benefit of that is that getting back to that trust aspect, one of the things that Google looks at is, are you the go-to for your topic? Are you the go-to website? And one of the ways to show that you're the go-to website is people are asking you questions. If no one is asking you questions, then you're not the go-to. So if you have the ability for people to ask questions and you're answering them, you're, in addition to helping your on-page SEO and your overall SEO efforts, you're also showing Google again that you are the site that should be in the SERPs, that should be ranking. And it's a really strong signal and kind of one of those things that has multiple layers of good. Yeah. And is a good practice.
How do you, including our website and other websites, I don't really see places to ask questions unless it's through the chat. Is it having a chat on there that you're asking questions? Where are they?
No, I would have like a comment section, so if people have questions about how to self-publish, I'm sure you answer a ton of questions and you probably have like an FAQ or you've got some places that's in, but people might have more detailed questions or specific use case questions. Those specific use case questions would be fantastic to appear on certain pages that you have so that you can then kind of drip that content in and then also answer in a term-rich way.
Yeah, I know. I'm almost 100% positive that we don't have ask a question here, like an add it to our FAQ page or something like that. And I think most websites don't have that. Like ones that I've been in, they have like a little chat that you can ask somebody, but not like leave a comment or leave a question and we'll get back to you section.
A lot of people turned it off just because comments get spammed and like, well, what's the value of this if it's being spammed? And absolutely, it is a headache sometimes, but you can moderate those types of things. But once you enable it and it's on the page, and remember, this isn't maybe something that's going into the back end of your site, but it's specific to that page, to that topic, and people are going to ask questions about that particular thing. That's where you want it on the page where you can get some real value out of it.
Yeah. So it's like questions about self-publishing in our situation.
Right. If you have a specific self-publishing page, that's an opportunity to have that type of a feature. One note, not every like plugin or tool you might use for the comments is readable by Google. So you want to make sure that you're actually using something that can be read. So if you're using a tool that is really JavaScript based, there's a chance that Google can't read that content, and then it's a waste of time. So you do want to double check that whatever you're using for those comments can actually be read by Google.
How powerful are blog posts and articles on your website to drive traffic there?
So one of the best things you can do, let's say you've got 5 main topics, self-publishing, and then different versions of that or offshoots of. And those are your target pages, and those you really want to show up in the search. What I like to do is then use blog posts or those other types of articles to support those pages. And so you're going to write content that is around that topic generally. So not specifically, so you're not using the exact same keyword, but you're writing about things that might not quite fit on the page, but are in the general vicinity of that content. And then when you write that article, link to that target page. And then in doing so, whatever terms that page starts to rank for, it builds its own authority. It gets its own juice, its own power. And as it does that, because you have a link going to one specific target page, you're now going to pass all of that juice to that page, and it takes away the reliance of outside signals. The more you can do internally, the better it is for you. It's more cost effective. It's also safer. Google doesn't take away these links, or it doesn't start to devalue these links in the same way it would links that are outside your site. So if you can get a publishing strategy together where you're specifically putting content up to help specific target pages, so you're not linking to all the pages on your site, but say, hey, when we do these 4 or 5 blog posts, they're all going to link to this one page, and then these 4 or 5 are going to link to that one, and these 4 or 5 are going to link to that one. And you create this like moat of protection around your site. And then it also raises the entire authority of the site so that all boats, all the pages rise together. It's an effective strategy. And if you're putting out content regularly, you want to be very cognizant of what page, who is this supporting, and be very specific about that. And it's a very effective strategy for evergreen SEO growth.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I'm getting is you really have to have a strategy. You have to have a plan, is what you're saying. Like if you're just willy-nilly out there, yeah, let's try this, try that. You really have to have a plan of all aspects for your website, it sounds like to me.
100%. Most people, that what they do is the willy-nilly. They hear about a strategy, or they're like, okay, we need this page, so they make this page, and they hear about this shiny object over here and this shiny object over there. What you need, and really the bottom line, is you need to be regularly pumping out content. As like a base level strategy plan, we need to get this X number of articles out every month. And if you do that and you have good internal linking with those articles, you're going to beat most of your competitors just on that alone. But it does take discipline. It takes grinding on it. It takes really sticking to it, which, is the tedious stuff that most people, building a website, I've found, is really a lot like writing a book. And I've sat down to write, I don't know how many books, and I finished approximately 0 of them. It's not easy to write a book. It's not easy to create a web page because of all that. It takes so much creativity and so much creativity, all that energy you need to put out to it. But that's kind of the discipline and the grind you need to do. In the same way you need to get that book out, you'd also need to get the website out in the same type of way with the same level of discipline. Yeah. And so you need to get that plan. You need to stick to it, and you need to really grind and hustle on it as much as you can.
One of the strategies that we use as a book publishing company is we tell authors, you get Amazon now working for you for SEO. So when you publish a book, their page comes up if I search Kyle Roof and you become an author, their page comes up on the first page of search for you. So now all of a sudden you've got, oh my gosh, my book, I'm right there on the first page. And then they give you an Amazon author page, which has your bio. We always tell our authors, put links, put your social media links, put your website there. And that shows up on first page of search. So, it's like, okay, I paid to have my book. I made the investment of time, but now all of a sudden I got 2 sites that are free SEO for me, which is pretty powerful.
No, you're exactly right. And the other thing it does for you too is it shows Google that you're a real person. Google can't walk to your office, knock on the door, and see, oh, yeah, he's real. It has to look for all of these other signals to see that you're a real person. And a very strong signal would be something like that, saying, I wrote this book, and now that's appearing within the search. It demonstrates that you're real. Kind of goes back to that trust that we were talking about earlier, that, hey, I am a real person. This is my real website. These are all real things. Google needs all of those signals, and publishing like that and then showing up in Amazon is a great signal for that.
All right, so I'm going to use that in my pitch that not only do you get that Amazon's going to read the SEO, but because of that, it's going to help your website for your business as well.
It will, definitely will.
Your name's on your website and it shows your name is here, so it shows you're real. So it all lifts everything up together.
That's a great thing for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming today. Tell us, Kyle, where people can find you. Find your software looks amazing. Give us like another pitch of what that does, and tell us where we can reach out and find you.
The easiest way to find me is kyleroof.com. The stuff that I'm working on is all there. Recent podcasts and YouTube show, so this will be on there as well. Or they can always shoot over to pageoptimizer.pro. That's where the on-page tool is. And they can give it a whirl there. We have a free 7-day full refund if you're not happy with it. So give it a go.
Perfect. I love that. And of course, he's going to be easy to find because he has amazing SEO. So it should pop right up for you.
That's true. That is true.
Well, thanks for joining us today. I'm Melanie Johnson, one of the founders of Elite Online Publishing. If you're looking to write a book, reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. And until then, have a great, fantastic week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone. Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full-spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.